Here we are, another episode, Doobie Nights Live.
That's nice.
I'm Donald, and this
Walter.
is Walter with Soul Spirit. You are the owner?
Owner, lead cultivator,
Okay.
many hats.
You do it all.
Yeah.
Okay. So can you give us a little history just about Soul Spirit and
Yeah, totally.
where you guys are from, all that?
Yeah. Well, like a lot of the folks up in the hills around us, we were traveling around the country and kept tired of getting pulled over. And the last time I got pulled over, took a year to go through all the court hearings and all that for driving while hippie and, having a dirty pipe in my car
Oh, okay.
in Arkansas. So, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Back in the 90s.
Yeah.
So, Prop 215 had just passed, and the judge asked me, "Do you have your medical yet? You're from California." I'm like, "No, but I'm going to go get it." And after that, we didn't feel comfortable traveling anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been to Humboldt before and had some friends there that we went to visit and couldn't leave. Being able to fit into the culture enough to where, even though I had dreadlocks at the time, I wasn't getting pulled over constantly, and I didn't, and we found our place up in the hills, and I became a kind of a hermit up in the hills, growing medicine.
Kind of my dream. I want to have some land someday where I can just disappear, and if I don't want to see it, I don't have to.
Yeah, no, Trinity County, there's something like 13,000 people.
Okay.
And it's a big old county.
Yeah.
And so we moved there up into a community that wasn't really a growing community yet. It was kind of a tiling off of the logging era.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's become quite a thriving little growing area with, for 15 some odd years now, there's some of my neighbors been out there, and it's got the ideal climate out there, like most of the Emerald Triangle, this region here where those really hot, dry days, cool nights that refresh the flower, refresh the plant so it can handle those dry days.
Yeah.
It makes so we can produce that herb.
I haven't had a chance to get up there, but I would love to. I've seen a lot of pictures. And,
Yeah.
I have friends that live up that way. I just haven't had a chance to make it back up there. But I'd love to come out and check out the farm.
And we would love to have you. That's one of the things that really makes us do what we want, what we do, is because now we can bring people up and show them our regenerative lifestyle we're living. We're striving towards regenerative. We're not perfect yet by any means. But we built a straw bale house that's off grid. Our farm, the inputs could fit in the back of one truck for the year.
Wow.
And that might even be a couple of years sometimes.
Wow.
And we're just really trying to craft our own nutrients from local forest and ecosystem, and doing a lot of brush clearing, and make it more fire safe, because that's a huge problem, right?
Yeah.
So because the past history of the land, of logging and things like that was done poorly, in my opinion, a little too hard, too fast.
Yeah.
The regrowth is all at once, and so it's really fire dangerous. And so we're thinning that out, mulching that into our beds and stuff like that. So, and then that's encouraging the native indigenous mycelium and all that, which is what feeds those trees.
Yeah.
Right? The forest is an amazing thing, and we don't bring in truckloads of fertilizer to feed the forest.
I love that.
Right? It's natural. It's part of, it's got this web of life that
nature intended.
Right? And so when we come into a situation, we poke big holes in that web.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's really been 20 years of trying to figure out how we can work within that web, recreate the broken parts of the web that we, just by being there. Well, I don't want the mountain lion in my yard with my kids, so we're going to have a dog that's going to keep the mountain lion back a little bit. And, now we've just messed up the whole web life, because it's not just the mountain lion, it's a whole spectrum.
It's a trickle down.
And so, we found that goats and pigs and chickens and things like this are 100% parts of ways we can replace nature back into our farming system and give those animals just an amazing life.
Yeah. I see you guys are also Sun Earth certified, which is really cool.
We're Sun and Earth and Dragonfly Earth Medicine certified also. We're really proud of being in that group that we got those certifications.
What's the Dragonfly?
Dragonfly Earth Medicine. They are based out of Canada.
Okay.
It's regenerative farming. It's really intensively thoughtful about your inputs and things like that. We're not gonna, we're doing our best. We bought a few this year, but trying to not buy any more clones because the plugs, there's plastic in the little plug, that they come in. Even those cocoa ones, it's got a little bit of plastic to hold it together, and so that's not organic. And then we're putting microplastics in our stuff, so we don't, so we're just working towards, like I said, regenerative. And that's what Dragonfly Earth Medicine's all about.
I feel like, the Sun Earth farms, like you guys, when you're buying that flower, like a Soul Spirit flower, that's like it's cannabis in its most pure form. Because I was talking to a gentleman over at Canacraft, and he was telling me that like even most of the food you would get that says organic, like at the grocery store, wouldn't pass any of the testing that like cannabis has to go through.
Yeah.
And then that's just what most farms have to go through. You guys are even taking it a step further with that
we are
certification.
No, I mean, it is true that organic food is, unfortunately, you could have your block of organic broccoli and next door could be GMO soybeans sprayed with Roundup.
Yeah.
And there's no testing.
Yeah.
So trying to bring back to just coming to our own sustainable, providing our own food and things like that. We offer a glamping experience where people can come up to the farm, camp out. We feed them, if they're meat eaters, we'll feed them pigs we raise, intensively rotationally grazed throughout our property, improving our land, chicken, eggs, all this food, majority of it from our garden, if not another local gardener. And really nice. We do it right. We got these nice bell tents with real beds in them.
Nice.
And everyone's got their own separate little bathroom. And, we're trying to really make it a special thing. And then, of course, you get to hang out with our cannabis and, personal share is still legal. So I share what we grew in our personal plants, and we have a great time.
I think I'm going to get online and book something for the summer because that sounds amazing. I love like homegrown vegetables and stuff. There's nothing like it. It tastes so good.
No, it really, and that's, most people have never experienced homegrown meat that's really been cared for like this. Like you can't buy a pig that's been treated this well. It just doesn't even actually exist on the market. They are in the same place for like 2 or 3 days and then moved and then moved and moved. They're never in there too long to have to be in a pigsty in a gross situation. Pigs aren't dirty animals.
Yeah.
They want to be clean like anybody else. So they eat the grasses and the bugs and dig up the blackberries and things like that. We have invasive blackberries. And so they help, they really help to improve our land. It's really noticeable.
So just doing that with the animals, that almost is a full-time job on top of the grow. And
else. Well, I do have a lot of help. We have a lot of help. We have some really good friends that have moved up in the last few years. And, without them, I certainly wouldn't be here right now. They're up there watering and feeding plants and giving them the love.
So aside from just even Sun Earth and all those things, I was noticing on the caps that it says that it's reclaimed ocean plastic.
Right. Well, we try and take it all the way the full level we can. We did not release a lot of products until we found a way we could do it in a way that felt right. The glass is 78% recycled glass. Labels are compostable. The plastic lids are ocean recycled plastic. And I feel it's super important for us to encourage the recycling of plastic. In our local community, like they're not even taking plastic
Wow.
They're hardly taking anything anymore. And I know of other communities that aren't taking the plastics anymore because it's just getting shipped off to China and they're just building islands with it.
Yeah.
So we can close this loop. The plastic can be used again. The joint tubes are out of a hemp-based plastic, so those are biodegradable over time, and they're, plant-based, not petroleum-based. The little plastic seal isn't a plastic seal; it's cellulose also, and it biodegrades. Actually, that biodegrades pretty fast. I think 30 days or something. So it's just really important to us to not just have it be up to the flower, but all the way, the whole experience. Our distributor High Tide is just really great about storage and things like that are also important to keeping the flower, in its best shape.
Yeah.
And we just want to try and do that full, because, I don't know, whenever we get to show people in person, like, this isn't indoor or whatever, and it's a misconception, A lot of people been smoking Emerald Triangle weed for decades and thinking it was indoor. Yeah. Because it looked good, and so that what was looked good enough was called indoor. You know, and there's a real misconception. The flavor is incomparable in my book. These plants are grown in the ground. You feed them some compost teas and stuff early on, and people talk about flush. Mm-hmm. I mean, well, that's how you grow a plant, is you give it some water, and it's in the ground, and it can go choose some nutrients, and the mycelium can help it bring some if it needs some. But really, I'd rather have a smaller yield that tastes better, because
quality over quantity.
Yeah, it really, to me that flavor is the most important. I
think that whole flush mentality is really that comes from like people that are using those crazy fertilizers and all these things to get the biggest buzz.
Well, crazy or not, like just some guanos and whatever. If you're feeding your plant, then yes, you have to flush it. Yeah. If you are feeding your soil, and the last 6 weeks of flowering, they're getting water, and then the nutrients that they need are in that soil. And they can either find a spot with a little more nutrients, or they can go over here where it's a little cleaner water, and they can take their choice. And it's just incomparable flavor, in my opinion. Sometimes the terpenes are not really higher than and sometimes they are. Still trying to figure that one out, but everybody is, right? Yeah. But the flavor is always just the cleanest, that white ash and all that, right?
Yeah, I've wanted for a while now. I was actually just talking about it recently, to take like some outdoor stuff we knew was outdoor, and then some indoor, and bring some smokers in here.
Right.
Don't tell them what's what, and see if they can figure it out. Because in the last few years, I've noticed like there's been some that I'm like, is this, like you said, is this indoor? Because it looks amazing.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know how you guys do that.
I mean, there's a lot of farmers that are moving towards the light depth. We have also, we only do 2 harvests a year because that's what we can do with almost no light. We use less light than an average house does, but less electricity than an average house for our 10,000 square feet twice. So, that's really, really important to us that we minimize that, and we're going to buy some solar panels as soon as we can to replace that little bit that we are using.
Yeah, that gets expensive for sure.
Well, it's not actually, no, for what we use. Really? We're talking about 12,000 watts.
Oh, okay.
Not even a few car payments, right?
Yeah, not at all. That's insane. I didn't know you could do it with so little power.
It all depends on how you're doing it. But that light depth does allow us to bring it in before late October, when unfortunately a lot of strains want to finish. And by then the sun's getting a little bit low in the horizon, the days are getting pretty short, and it's hard to get the lumens required to make those tight nuts. Yeah. And so that, by doing it manually with the tarps, we can, again, flower a little earlier. and bring it in when there's just, way more light,
Sure.
We had a guy come out who wanted to try and sell me some LEDs, and he stuck his meter out there and was like, 17 or something, da 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 da, like we're shooting for 5 something, Well, yeah, that's sunlight. It's, you couldn't do that with LEDs or HIDs, whatever, because it would cook the plant.
Yeah.
But it's sunlight. It's natural.
The way it's meant to be.
The way it's meant to be. We went indoors when we were hiding.
Yeah.
And I know I grew indoors in 96 in Louisiana and 97 and 98 in Humboldt. But the outdoors is,
Yeah.
it's just the way it's meant to be. It really is. And we're just so blessed with such a ideal climate for it that we really can grow, in my opinion, some of the finest flower in the world right here in the sun and the Emerald Triangle.
Yeah, I think now it's just a matter of getting people to try it. How do you guys decide what strains you have? Because I see there's 6. There was a 7th jar here.
Oh yeah, there's 7 strains right now. The decision thing's been a little tricky, the new strains, and you don't know what they're going to be. You don't know how they're going to work with you. We try and introduce some new strains every year, and if we really love something, we will hang on to it and, rotate it in or out and just try and pick, unfortunately with this market, we are looking for ones that'll hit that 20% THC benchmark, because unfortunately, when you look at a price and a THC number, if those are the 2 pieces of information that you have, it's hard to choose based on anything else. I mean, we're human beings, and that's the information presented. That's how the choice is going to be made for the most part. And it's really sad.
It is.
Because it doesn't have anything to do with the quality of the smoke, in my opinion. Terpenes. And, I'm sure we're just so new to all this that we haven't discovered some of the cannabinoids, or maybe they've been discovered, but we're not testing for like 6 or 8 of them and testing for 15 or 20 terpenes. It's not very many.
Yeah.
And some of those things, and maybe it's only in a small amount, I think we're going to find they make a huge difference.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think so too. It's like you get people, everybody comes in, a majority, and especially the younger ones, and it's like, what's the highest THC for the cheapest price?
Yeah, totally.
And it's like, well, you could go to the liquor store, buy a bottle of Everclear, and get hammered,
and we don't
do it. But we don't do it because
we go buy beer or wine or as often as not. Or if we drink that hard liquor, we mix it down, right? Yeah. No, I think it's an immature market in that way, and the bud tenders obviously have a huge influence on it right now, because they are really one of the only ways that the growers can communicate with people directly in a lot of cases, or to the person buying our flower. And that really can make a difference when we get the bud tenders to try our flower and hang out with them. Like, oh yes,
it really does. It helps a lot, and that was one of the reasons I wanted to do this, was because we get all this amazing training. Before the store opens, you guys are here and you're teaching us all these things. And I felt like, man, our customers, there's so many of these things that they should hear. Yeah. That sometimes when they're on the floor, we don't get the chance to have that long of a conversation with them. That is true. Yeah. And this opens it up to them being able to see where you're from, what you're about, because there's a lot of customers, especially in Sonoma County and Northern California as a whole, that really do care about the biodegradable stuff. No,
and I think more consumers care, far more care than are showing it in their purchases currently. They don't know the options are out there. It's just such an immature market. We're just not asking those questions yet, I think. The customer that'll come in and go to the Whole Foods or whatever local organic market and pay a little more for a flower that's grown in a more sustainable way, knowing that those costs are more expensive. We put a lot of love and care into our flower, and then our packaging is really expensive. We're a small brand. We're not buying 10 billion jars. So we pay top dollar for our jar. We pay top dollar for, the whole thing, all the way through. We don't have those advantages. And so that's like already, we have to charge more. We absolutely can't compete with those giant corporations that are buying the jars for, I mean, 1/100th what we're paying, or 1/20th or whatever. And especially if they're not going with the environmental options, then they're just paying such a small fraction. And so it really is, that's the thing, is finding those the people, like you and me that care. I don't know, for me, it's about like, we want a place for our children.
Yeah.
And, we're up against it now. Like if we don't change a lot of the shit we're doing, a lot of things we're doing wrong, we're really in it. And we need to make these changes, like caring for, okay, maybe that indoor flower is prettier. I guarantee you give me a blind taste test, you're going to pick my flower over indoor any day.
Yeah.
And I read an article about somebody doing a blind test just recently, and it wasn't, I don't think it was quite 70%, but something around 70% chose the outdoor.
Yeah.
Blind test, because
I believe it.
It's the, those things that have never experienced a bird or a wind blowing on them, or, the intensity of the sun, all that, they do look different, they look really sparkly and shiny. And, our flower does too, just not in that same quite way all the time. But the flavor to me is so much more important. And, I think it really is that growing it in the ground, in the sun, that's how our bodies have been consuming cannabis for billions or whatever, who knows how long, I don't know, but a long time.
Yeah.
And we stepped out of the sun and hid underneath the roofs to hide it.
Definitely a few thousand years. I just read an article a couple days ago that they found a 3,000-year-old bong, and I thought that was just amazing because it looks so close to like what we use now.
Right.
So like the design hasn't even changed. It's so cool.
And how long was somebody smoking before they decide, you know what, I should filter this through water and put a little carb on it? There's probably a couple of years of like, just put it in the campfire and hover over it for a minute.
And I'm with you guys 100% on the sustainability and stuff, because, as humans, we've kind of gotten this, like we're not thinking long-term effects. It's the immediate gratification. Really, and I got kids, and, I just can't imagine what it's going to be like when they get older if we don't fix things now or start to make that turn.
No, that's why we think it's so important to be able to show people, like, look, there really are some simple alternatives, like our straw bale houses. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's simple, old technology, passive heating, passive cooling. We burn in a little bit of firewood, and it's all cozy and stays cool in the summer and warm in the winter.
Probably a little more fire resistant.
Oh, it's super fire resistant. Like, it really, like, at this point, 10 years into living in it, I can't come up with a problem with it. It really, like, we've lived in all those other structures and they didn't work out there. It's too hot and too cold and too, weather's all over the place. So you draw a line through the right part of that and you can keep it nice.
So how would where would we go if we want to, like, I want to book the trip?
Totally. I don't know, the website's not quite finished yet, I think, but there's one up there already, soulspiritretreats.com.
Oh, okay.
My wife has set that up, and we also have an Instagram at Soul Spirit Retreats.
Okay. And how is it, like, pretty well booked up most of the time?
So we've just started this, right? Last year was COVID, so we were kind of like, oh, do we open or not? And then we're like, well, we can do 6-foot spacing on on giant farm surrounded by a national forest. That's not hard. So we did open up, but it was like June or something, or July, before we were like, okay, let's open it. So we weren't super busy last year, but we had some folks up, and it was wonderful time. And then the year before was when we started doing it, and that was towards the end of that year too. So really first year that we'll have a full summer open. Ready to welcome people all year. Okay. But everyone who's come so far has just had a great experience. I think think we might have changed some lives, just really that personal experience with the land and getting out of the city, going somewhere where you can just look up at night and see the Milky Way. There's no pollution, there's no lights, there's no noise, just, the birds and the crickets.
That's an amazing feeling. The first time I was in the Navy and we were out to sea. First time I walked outside and looked, it was just like, I was speechless.
Yeah.
I'd never seen that many stars that clear.
Yeah.
And it's definitely something that has to be experienced.
No,
definitely down this way. You don't see as much because just
the light pollution is it bleeds over for hundreds of miles.
Mm-hmm.
We're 300 miles, I think, from the nearest major city at all, right? We're out there.
Yeah.
That's been one of the challenges. Some of the people are like, I want to come. Oh, it's a long drive. But, right now, actually, there's an airport or an airline flying out of Burbank.
Oh, okay.
It's doing round trip for like $50 or $75 because it's a new thing. They're just trying to get people going on it. So there's that. And then from the central, Northern California, this area here, I'm sorry, I'm 300 miles north of here. So this area, it's not, I drove down this morning. It's doable. It's not that big of a drive.
No, not at all. And I've driven towards that direction, and it's some of the prettiest country you could ever see.
Oh, it is. If you haven't seen the redwoods and stuff, then you owe yourself that anyways.
Yeah.
And, hang out in some redwoods.
Go get some bomb-ass food.
Go get some bomb-ass food, then come out our place and we'll get some more bomb-ass food, camp out and go floating down the river one day if we want, and just really experience, beautiful natural place.
We might have to schedule a Doobie Nights retreat.
Yes, we should.
Get some of the crew up there. And
we'd love to have you.
That'd be so much fun.
Yes.
I know that all the managers and probably half the bartenders would be up for it.
Yeah, we'd love to have you guys.
Okay. All right. Well, I really appreciate all the information. I think this is going to really push the brand even further for us. I know I've learned a ton of stuff just in the few minutes that we got the chance to talk. And now going down, speaking to customers, I know I'm going to be more confident in selling it. And I'm going to push it more for sure because now I know more about it. I really want to help you guys get out there and all the other farms. I want to kind of help put a little bit of pressure to kind of go in that direction, like where you guys are going. Because they're really, in my opinion, there's still enough money to be made that a few extra dollars to make it right and be right for the environment is worth it.
No, I think it is. I think it is. And like I said, we know that, people are willing to buy organic produce. Mm-hmm. So, I have faith in people and humanity. I've watched some huge changes in the last 20 years, drug war to this, like 20 years ago, try finding organic produce. And, if you knew where that one little place was, maybe you could find something, but it was 5 times more expensive, not 20 or 30% more.
Yeah.
All those things with the economies of scale and all that, but all those are the challenges of the legal game we're playing now are definitely, there's a lot of challenges, and it really, it's gotten really expensive game to participate in, which is unfortunate because it's really pushing out a lot of the small farmers.
Yeah. And, that's why I feel like up here, especially because this is kind of the heart of the industry.
Right.
And where you guys are at is everybody coming together and not allow that to happen.
Yeah.
Because there's sometimes money and greed will just take over, and I think we can kind of, if nothing else, just slow it down and just really get the education out there and the knowledge out there to keep the small farmer there, because they're really what got it all started to begin with.
Right. A lot of us have been growing for 20 years or more out there, and it's something we do because we love it. Mm-hmm. We love the plant. We love our little hermitage.
Well, I want to come out when I do, and I'm going to bring, if it's okay with you, some equipment just to get some footage, because I'd like to do like a follow up and just really see where you guys are at, but from up there at the phone
Totally.
and just kind of get, you know, more people can get their eyes on it. Cause I think when that happens too, that'll drive people to like, they want it. They got to see that, you know?
Yeah. That's what, you know, get just a couple people up there at a time, open up their eyes, and, you know,
word of mouth.
Everything's exponential.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you know,
get that
it's
ball
coming
rolling.
along. Yeah, exactly.
Like I said, I really appreciate you making a long drive to come talk to us because, you know, it was definitely a good time. I enjoyed it. Thank you again.
Yeah, and can't wait to sesh with you.
Oh, no, it's happening. You sold me already.
All right.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Yeah.